Hey YouTube, Mike the Rinnai guy here. How we all doing today? Hope we all had a safe and productive week. And all of you that have lived in live in Texas, I hope you're doing okay. All right, excuse me. Today's video is going to be on wiring of an external tankless heater. It's probably, again, one of my top, I would say even 5 questions and comments that I get on the wires that you use to either power the unit with 110 volts or where you connect the controller. So on an internal unit, as you know, it comes with a plug. So all you do is hang it, pipe it, and plug it in, and you're done. Well, an external unit has to be wired, okay? It comes with just the 2 wires sticking out of the bottom of the unit, and you have to put the controller in. So let me zoom this in and we'll show you quick, but we will be removing the camera and showing you. Okay. You grab the pointer. All right. These 2 wires right here. It's a black and a white wire. There'll be a piece of tape on it, and then there is a SKU number. It says 120 volts on it, and it's taping the 2 black and white together, and that will be sticking actually out from the bottom of the tankless when you take it out of the box, just like that. It'll be sticking out from the bottom of the tankless. Then right here, can we see? Right here on the PC board, it says terminals for controller. There is a white sticker with black letters, and there's 2 small Phillips screws right here. And that's where the controller gets connected to. So let's go over the whole step and show you exactly how I wire them and how I like to do them. All right. There's many different ways that you can wire it. Well, really there's 3 ways. There's direct wiring, which you wire it direct with like a knife switch. Then there's direct wiring with a switch, and then there's a plug. I prefer to use a plug with what they call an in-use cover. So I use a waterproof box with an in-use cover and a plug. What I buy is I use 16 gauge, they're 8 feet long. It's grounded. Again, remember, it's very important for grounding. So I use a 3-prong plug, 8 feet long, and what I do is I cut it to accept the amount that I need. I just don't leave the 8 foot and coil it up. I mean, maybe if a plug is a little bit further, I'll go up to 8. You don't want to go more than 8 feet. 6 feet is fine. Most of the time, the plug will be like right here, and that's where I'll put it. And then once I'm done with all the piping, I plug it in, I put a strap to the wall, and it's all nice and neat. The reason I like to use a plug is if you have a storm and you have to disconnect it, I'd rather you unplug the unit, wrap a plastic bag around the male end, tape it, let it sit. Because when power comes back on and you could get a surge, it could blow the PC board. That's why I like a plug. Also, if you don't have like a whole house generator and the storm's over, wind is down, rain is gone, and now you want to power up the tankless and you have a portable generator, you can start that generator. Now again, go back in a video on how to protect the tankless and I explain it. But you can start up the generator, let it run for a couple of minutes, and then take an extension cord, plug the tankless in, and now you have hot water in your house. Okay? So let's go over the whole thing. All right. First thing that I like to use, there's 2 different ways that I do it. This is the most popular way that I do it, is I use these water-sealed, what they call pigtail connectors. So it's got the 1/2-inch male, let me find my lock nut. It's got the lock nut thread on one side, which is a 1/2-inch IPS thread. And then it has a nut with a rubber grommet in it. Some are oval, and some are round. You still have to open it up a little bit with a knife or a drill bit. Or you can use these clamp-on connectors like this. And that goes up into the bottom of the tankless like that. So you're the tankless, it goes in that way. And then when you're done, you just fill that with a little silicone. So if you don't have one of these with the rubber grommet, you could use one of these, just fill this with a little bit of silicone. You don't want any, I mean, no water really is going to go in it, but you're going to get bugs and stuff like that in it. So what I do is I prep this first by I get this all ready. I don't do any of the plug yet, so I get the lock nut on. Don't forget, you got to put the lock nut on first. Then you want to take the rubber grommet. Now, it is going to be a little bit of a dickens to get it on. You could do a little bit of soap to get it in. I already prepped this. I keep them pretty much prepped on my truck. You want to push it on like so. So you got about that much showing. Then tighten up your lock nut. And then you want to put it in through the bottom of the unit. Now, before I do that, again, it's very important for grounding. So I got a white wire, I got a black wire, and I got a green wire. The green wire, I'm going to take one of these, if you want to call them stake-ons, crimp-ons, however you want to call it. And I crimp one of these onto the green wire right away. Boom. Because now that is going to get grounded to the chassis of the tankless. If you look down here at the bottom of the tankless, again, we're going to take the camera off. There's screws and on the chassis, there's little L brackets, and they got the little ground symbol on it. And that's where you're going to ground it to. So, I'm going to find my lock nut, get my wire through, and then tighten up my lock nut. Okay, I'm going to have to do this so you guys can see. Okay, get it good and tight. You may have to get a pair of channel locks. Tighten this up real good. All right, then the first thing I want to do is ground it. So I'm going to ground it to the chassis. You'll see better once I take the camera off. Okay, so now I'm grounded. And now I'm going to take two little orange wire nuts. And I'm going to I'm going to take up my blacks. Alright, you will just never put nothing in your mouth. Just get the wires together. Get them tight. Get them tight. Now that's all done. Just tuck the wires back in. Now your plug. Let's just get this zip. Now I would have cut this. I would have cut this to like maybe here. Redid that end, leaving of course the plug. So I would have made it probably about that long, 3 feet. That's what I would have done. All right, so now your plug is done. You're grounded, your black is to black and your white is to white. Now, the box. I use one of these, what they call waterproof boxes. The waterproof box is going to come with some plugs. So you're going to use one. You're going to use one. So say your wires are coming in the back. So you're going to cap off the top one and the bottom one. Just be patient with it. It goes in there. That's now, of course, If you were going to hard pipe it in, now I'll show you that in a minute, you're going to leave, of course, one of them off. And if you're going to use seal tight to pipe it in with flex, then you would just leave one of them off. So you got this on. Now you're going to have to drill 2 holes. See, there's no holes in the box. So I just take a standard drill and I drill 2 holes right through it. There's actually dimples in this. There's dimples in there, here and there. Now, just grab 2 screws. Those are too long. And then I will screw the box to the wall. Now, it might be Molly's, you know, it might be a brick wall. Get the box nice and level. Okay, now, what are you going to use? That box, you can do a few different things. You can put in, now, you're going to check your local code. You can use an outlet with a GFI circuit breaker. You could use one of these Decora rocker switches, or a toggle switch. If you're going to use a switch with the in-use cover, I would use a toggle switch. Or you could use a GFI outlet. This is a 15 amp. So your breaker's 15 amps, whether it's a GFI breaker or a regular breaker, and your outlets and switches are rated for 15 amps. All right, that's all. It doesn't use 15, it uses like 4, but you have a 15 amp circuit. So for argument's sake, we're going to use the regular outlet. And your regular outlets on the back of the outlet will tell you what side is black, what side is white, and of course the ground. But rule of thumb, the ground screw, that side is white. The other side is black. The lighter silver screws are white. The darker copper screws are the black. But the screws on the side of the ground are the white screws. All right, so you put your white, your black, your ground. You got that in, and then you're going to mount it into the box. So I'm going to have to do it this way. And this is going to be a little bit cumbersome, but we'll get it in there. So, be patient, especially if you're using a drill. These are 632 screws, fine thread. You got to be very, very slow and very patient with them. All right, you get your screws in just like that. Of course, your wires are in. Remember, the wires are coming in through the back of the box. Now, the in-use cover. The in-use cover comes with, and this is the in-use covers I use, right here. Home Depot sells them. They're about 10 bucks. They come with a bag. They come with 2 long and 2 short 632 screws. They come with these back plates here are removable. So you could take out this back plate. And this would be for a Decora outlet. A Decora rocker switch. It would be for the GFI. Then this one here is actually for the regular outlet. I need that one. And then this one here is for a toggle switch. And as you can see, you could remove this for larger outlets. like for like a 220 outlet. All right, so this one we're going to use, and it pops in right through the back of this thing. Listen to it click, so that's how it goes in. And then the screw, let me show you how the screw goes on. The screw actually goes in and then gets slid over. You see it? Goes in the back right here and then slid over. So you're actually putting the box on, sliding it over, holding the cover up, taking your drill, and missing the screw. There's a foam waterproof seal. Then you're going to remove this bottom piece. That's what's going to allow the wire to go up. There's a little door here. You can actually even lock it if you wanted to. Then you plug in your tankless, just bend your wire down, and that's it. Your tankless is powered. Now, if you had to use seal tight, so you'll be using fittings like this, either an L or a straight fitting. They got rubber gaskets. See, you got a rubber gasket below the lock nut. Again, rubber gasket below the lock nut. Okay, rubber gasket. And then you would just take the seal tight, put it to the bottom of the box, and then put it to the bottom of the unit, run your wires, wire it the same way, and then put your switch here. Because you need a disconnect. You have to have a disconnect switch. And a circuit breaker is not a disconnect. It is there for safety. There's a short, there's a problem, the thing trips. Of course, it trips in the middle, then you got to shut it off all the way and then turn it on. It is not to be used as a disconnect. It is there for a safety. You have to have either one of those knife switches that you pull out, a switch, or a plug. That's your disconnect. All right, so now you got your power in. Now you're going to wire the controller. And that's what this box is for. The controller wires, again, are these two terminals right here. White sticker, black letters, terminals for controller. And your controller for either a V or an RL unit, or these controllers also come on the RU and the RUR. So the V and the RL series, the V is the white one, the value. Then you got the RU, which is the condensing. You're going to have this controller also. Then the RUR, which is the one with the pump in it. This controller is either going to be for an external unit behind the front door, or on an internal unit, it's going to be through the front door. And that is what is being used to set the parameters. And this is how exactly it comes in the box. Plastic bag. You get 2 mollies and 2 stainless steel screws. You get 2 little crimp-on wire connectors and 2 little wire holders. Never use them. Your instruction sheet. And then the actual controller. So it's in a bubble wrap. Then you have the little plastic protector. And that is your controller, right there. Now you have to separate the door, the front cover, to access the screws. So you just put it on the side. Then on the back, they neatly tie two wires, a black wire and a white wire. Now, it does not matter what you put them to. It's a parallel circuit, so it doesn't matter what you're putting it to. So, what I use is, I carry 500-foot rolls, and then I also carry 100-foot, all right? What I use is 18-2 solid core wire. Home Depot sells it, electrical supply houses sell it. It's got the brown casing, and it's got one red and one white wire on it. That's it, and it's solid core. All right? So the first thing that I like to do is, of course, I run my wire. So in this case, we're going to, I have a nice little hole already in the board. And it's so nice when you can actually go inside the wall and pull the wires. And then I have another hole in the box, and I'm going to bring my wires through. Now I have my end, and what I want to do is I want to take two more of these. So it's the open end, not the one with the loop in it, because you don't want to take the screws off of it. They're very small. So I use the open end ones. And then I get my wire back through the rubber grommet on this side. All right, so now my wire is ran. Now, this is for an interior and, this is for an exterior unit only. Interior unit, the controller is mounted right on the front. You want to unplug the unit. Don't, just unplug the unit before you touch anything, you put any wires on. So I'm going to take my little crimp-ons, crimp that one on, and I like to put it onto the tool first. I'm not like sliding it up and down. And then crimp that one on. Just check, make sure that they're on there. Then loosen the two little screws. And then just get the wires in there. There's one. I like to always do the tankless first. And then get the other one. And you can leave yourself enough wire in there. Leave extra wire inside of the unit. Because if you accidentally strip a wire too close, you have extra wire that you can, and then tighten that wire down, that nut, that screw, and then just tuck the wire in the unit. Okay, so now that's done. Now you want to come up here to the actual controller. We're going to have to do this sideways. Now you can use these, I'll show you what they give you in here. If you wanted to use this, these are two crimp-on connectors. So they give you these inside of the unit. Two crimp-on connectors. But I'm going to show you something. Let me grab it. These are for larger wire, but I'm getting them for 18-2. They're Wago connectors. So basically you just pull back on that, and you put your white wire, and then you close these, and it locks the wire in, and then you need one for the black. What it does is when you put a wire nut on and you tighten it down, it makes grooves into the wire. If you back it off, like just say you're going to add another wire, well, that wire now is compromised. This thing, this Wago connector, and these are the connectors, Wago, W-A-G-O. They come, what did I got here? 52 a box. And all you do is they give you a specific dimension on how to cut it. You see, they tell you, what is that, 8 to 10 millimeters. Then you pull back one at a time. 1, 2. You put a white wire and a white wire, or a black wire and a black wire, a green wire and a green wire. And then you close it. And one of these, like this one, is good for 12 to 28. That's what it's good for. So we're going to go the other way. We're just going to go the old-fashioned way. So what I like to do is make sure I have my belt on, is I like to use 2 blue wire nuts. The small little blue wire nuts. I put them in my mouth. Then I take my strippers, and you just want to strip off about 1/4 inch. Okay? And now we're going to do this sideways. So what I like to do is I like to put a white to the white and the black to the red. So I put my, just put the two wires together. You tighten it until the 2 wires start to twist. Then I put my black together to the red. And then let me see if you, I'll zoom the camera in so you can see it. See how see the white wire, see how it's twisted? That's what you want. That means it made a good connection. But again, like I said, the wire nuts will make a groove in the actual piece. Okay? Then you want to tuck your wires back in. Now, you might not have a box in the wall. We happen to have one here in the studio. You might have to use some type of wall anchor. Now, this is the little tricky part. Is getting this bottom one to line up. But again, if you're patient and you got good eyes, there you go. Tighten it down. Make sure your cover is saying Rinnai at the top. There's your controller. Then go outside, plug your tankless in, and then you'll hear the water servo valve wind up. You know, of course, if you wired it, you would have to go back inside, turn the breaker on. Hear the servo wind up. The controller, hit the on-off button. It'll say 104 automatically. Hit the up arrow until you get to your 120. That's how you wire. That's the wires you use for the 120, those, the little black and the white. And then the 2 screws over here are the controller terminal. Now, Wi-Fi. Here we go. Oh, let's get, this is the wire. Again, it's Husky. It's like 950. That's what the wire is right there. Okay. Now your Wi-Fi. This is how you get your Wi-Fi. Now on a lot of the units, are Wi-Fi compatible. So in the unit, you get 2 little mollies and 2 screws. You get your instruction sheet. And then you get your plastic bag. Then you get your Wi-Fi module. Now, see, you can hang it. But the beauty about the Wi-Fi, this is magnetic. You don't need to mount it. Now, of course, if it's an outside unit, yes, you can't leave it there. But if you're doing it for inside, yes, you can magnetize it right to the side. Now, you get about 25 feet of wire. You can cut this and extend it. So if you're, say, running this at a new home, you can put the Wi-Fi closer to where the router is. Now remember, this Wi-Fi is 2.4 gigahertz. So here's your wire. It's a black and a red wire. And it comes with that plug. That plug is for the RUR unit. So on the RUR, say 160, 199, on the bottom of the control board, the very bottom, is where this controller gets plugged into. So it's this side of the controller. It's got those 2 notches there. So that's what's facing out. And then it just plugs right in. Now, on all other units that are Wi-Fi compatible, you're going to have the 2 little terminals, just like what we connected to. So what you're going to have to do here, and I have so many Wi-Fi modules I can do this, plus I like to save the plug, is for you techs out there, you installers, cut it so that you got about 3 inches of wire left. And you want to save this, because if you lose the one, like say you're going to do the MC195 controller, that controller comes with a black and a white wire just like this MC91. This little plug, which has just white ends on it and it says for controller, is in a plastic bag inside of the instruction manual. A lot of people just pull the instruction manual out, throw it in the box goes in the dumpster, and when you time to hook up the controller, where's the plug? Oh my God, I don't have it. So, save this plug. Then all you're going to do is split this wire. Just split it right down the middle. Be careful you don't slice your fingers. Spread it. Then you just take your wire strippers, strip it, and put 2 of these. Let me show you the difference, what I mean by the other one. You see, you got the circle, the closed loop, then you got this open loop one. So you just loosen the screw, this slides in, you tighten it down. This one, you got to remove the screw, put the screw through it, and then tighten it. Well, with the little screws on that controller part, you lose the screw, you strip it, you put it in cockeyed. Just use these, the red ones. There's red and blue. Blue I use for ground, red I use for the small wires. So then with this, you just take this, 2 of them, crimp them onto the wire, and then put them onto the terminal. That's it. Now, again, if it's an inside one, you just magnetize it on, bring it up right through the rubber grommet, and connect it to your terminal. That's the whole thing. Now, if you wired the unit, so just say, like with me, I want the electrician to give me just a wire sticking out of the house. The plumber gives me hot and cold water pipe. I ran the gas. I want to connect the water. I want to connect, of course I'm connecting the gas, and I want to connect the electric because I want to make sure it is working. So once I do my plug, once I put my waterproof box on, once I put my in-use cover on, what I do, and these things are about 10 bucks. It's one of those, it's an outlet check. So it gives you lights, right? You see, it's got a red light, an amber, and an amber. And the first thing, if you have just a center amber, you have an open ground. If you have all the way to the right, open neutral. Nothing, open hot. If you're red to the left, hot ground reversed. If you're red and amber, hot neutral reversed. 2 amber lights means that you're good. So basically, let's see if my outlet is good. Actually, my outlet's not good. What do I have? A good outlet. Hold on, I'll take my camera off in a second. There we go. All right, we're gonna take the camera off anyway and go around, so I'll show you this. I forgot, my cord is not working right. So, you see right there, you have 2 amber lights. That's telling you that the circuit is good. And then over here, let me grab my pointer. There is your 2 terminals right there. That's where your controller goes. And you see right here, terminals for controller. That's your PC board. Then you just take your flap this back down when you're done. And then there is your connector. And you see right here, there's the ground right there. And you have little ground symbol right there. And another little ground symbol. So you can ground it to any one of these, there or any one of these. That's already got a screw in it, so you ground it to there. And then here is your 2. This is the wires that come with it. See, it says 120 volts right there. And then you're going to use that hole. Now, on some of the tanklesses, you might not be able to get the 1/2-inch knockout through, so you'll have to use a uni-bit to open this up. And then that rubber grommet right there is where you put your controller. All right. Okay, YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this video, and it answered a lot of questions out there for those of you that have asked about the wiring of the unit. But that's how, those are the wire. I know they're very deceiving. They're very small. For 110 volts, they're very small. And also, you got to watch. I mean, people think it's the controller wire, and they've hooked the controller to it, and they hooked 110 volts to that, and they didn't read, and they fried the controller. I've had that happen numerous times. So just read the instructions, or read what's on there. Controller is on the PC board, and the little black and white wire is the power, and ground goes to the chassis. Okay? All right, YouTube. I'd like to thank everybody, all of the new subscribers out there. I think I did like 490 last month alone. For those of you in Texas that I've talked to, that I've messaged, I hope I've been helpful for you. Those of you that have sent me cigars and fruit and stuff, thank you very much. Again, I'm bad with names. I can't remember everybody's name, but thank you very much. Thank you for all of those comments. Those comments are just utterly amazing. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. All right, YouTube, you all be safe out there, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye now.